Hello and welcome to On the Spot with OPPO, where we connect you to inspiring entrepreneurs and innovators making their mark. We're here live in Bali for our exclusive Finders Club event, also launching the FineX8 series. And here we have today, we have David Moreno, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure is all mine. Thanks for inviting me.
So welcome to On the Spot with OPPO, David. Before we start, can you give the viewers a quick elevator pitch about yourself?
Well, just a brief introduction. I'm from Spain, from Alicante. It's a little city by the Mediterranean Sea, which gives you a very characteristic definition of most of the people who grew up in the Mediterranean Sea. We crave for this kind of weather and this kind of nature. That's why
you feel home.
Very, very lucky to be in Bali with you guys. So thank you for that. It's an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
And I spent a year when I was a kid in the United States. Not me, because of my family. My father moved there as a doctor to work in Minnesota. So we were lucky to be there. And I think as a young kid, when you move to a different country, different language, different culture, it also marks, a spot on your personality, and it kind of gets you that little, intriguing thing about knowing other cultures, other people, traveling. So at the age of 18, I moved to Madrid to study architecture. And then right after finishing architecture, I went to Rotterdam in the Netherlands to work as an architect, which is a really great place to work as an architect because Dutch people are very open-minded when it comes to creativity and letting the architect do their job.
Yes.
It doesn't happen in many places. And then after that, I moved to Italy because I was again craving a little bit of the Mediterranean Sea, Genoa. Yeah. But then again, I had the call and the opportunity to go to London to work for Forster, Norman Foster, at Forster and Partners, and it's a great. You cannot say no to Norman Foster. So I spent 3 years there working really big projects. Yep. I enjoyed a lot. You get in touch with new technology, cutting edge technology, very, very talented people. And after 3 years, it was time for me to start my own company, go back to Spain. And soon after going back to Spain, well, it was not the right time. It was right after the crisis in 2009. Spain took a long, long time to recover. And then I moved to China. And now I'm in China. Well, now in Bali, but I'm based in China, in Shanghai, where I had a really good opportunity again to kind of explore a new culture and a new market. So the idea was to go to a bigger market, bigger country, when we can have better and bigger projects. And it was scary at the beginning, so I was like, okay, let's try for 6 months. And then 6 months became 6 years, and now it's more than 10.
Wow.
So that's my story in a nutshell.
Okay, that's a lot of, I felt like I know you better now.
Okay.
from this elevator pitch, it's not really, but and before we dive into our main discussion, can you maybe share how the Finders Club experience has been so far, and maybe how you like the FineX8 Pro that you've been experiencing for the past two days? 2 full days with the new X8 Pro, Finders X8 Pro, and it's an amazing device. And not just the device, but the whole experience has been insane. Too much
literally
food?
Insane. Huh?
Too much food? You're complaining, right?
Yeah, you guys are giving me the best food in large quantities, and I cannot say no.
Just like a previous job.
Yeah, exactly. So of course I cannot say no, and I love to eat this kind of amazing food. Actually, we went to really, really, really good restaurants, and it was actually a good contrast. Like for instance, the first night we went to a plant-based restaurant, really delicious food, and then the second day was a fusion, so more meat and red wine. So again, it's a great opportunity that you guys are giving the members of the Finders Club, to join with OPPO.
And you've been racking up a lot of pictures.
And the phone works amazing. We went on a helicopter.
Oh. I'm glad we didn't arrange the helicopter right after the lunch.
Yes.
it would have been very ugly. It would have been an ugly ride.
Yeah, it would have been some trouble for most of us.
Yeah.
But luckily it was in the morning, so only a very light breakfast and just a coffee, so we made it through.
Okay.
But the phone reacted impressively. Like, you know, even with all the movement inside the helicopter, the optical zoom and the normal zoom, the periscope plus the optical zoom was even able to catch very good and detailed pictures of the whole. I mean, we went to Tanat Olot, which is an amazing temple. Then we went to Ubud. We fly through the volcano. It was great. And it's such a nice perspective.
Watching Mount Batur from the aerial view.
Yeah, it was my first time to do it.
For me, it was my first time on a helicopter, and most likely my last time. You know, much as you know, it's a very exotic thing to go on a helicopter, but yeah, just maybe 10 minutes is enough. I enjoyed like the first 10 minutes. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I only been twice.
Okay.
So this is my second time. My
Okay.
first time was very smooth. So I don't know. Maybe it depends on the helicopter, how big it is.
Yeah.
I have no idea. The weather conditions, I'm pretty sure that affects a lot.
Yeah. And you seem to know a lot about Bali, so I'm guessing it's not your first time in Bali.
No. Luckily for me, I come very often to Bali.
Okay.
So of course, the first time I came to Bali was a long time ago. It was just for fun. Tourism. Mm-hmm. I did my PADI scuba diving training here, and since then I was like, oh man, this island, it's something. I wish I could live here because this is paradise. I mean, you come to Bali, and I've been many times, but though I'm happy and I'm glad to have come to this island so many times, because first as a tourist, first 2 times, totally different trips. Once with friends, once with family, and both are amazing. And then I was really happy and very, very lucky to have a client to commission a project for me, for my firm here in Bali. And then we did a second one, and now we're doing more projects. I'm also developing them. So it's great to come more, even though it's for work, but you can never say it's a business trip or a work trip when you come to Bali.
So and your relationship with Bali kind of transformed from a pleasure to work.
So first of all, as a tourist, when you come to Bali, you come to enjoy.
Yeah.
And then you just have fun. You are amazed with all these, the nature.
Yeah.
Bali offers you so many different options. Like you can go to the sea, you can go to the mountain, you can go to the jungle. You can be more relaxed and do more meditation.
Yeah.
You can party a lot.
Yeah.
So it offers you a wild variety of options. But as an architect, it's a job, right? I mean, your clients, they commission you a project, and then you have to respond to your client needs. And of course, as an architect, you need to look at the environment. You need to react with the environment.
Definitely.
You need to take care of it, right? So then you need to learn the culture.
Yep.
What can you do? What can you not do? What you should do, because some things are not appropriate, or local people, they just do it in a different way.
Different customs,
yeah,
different traditions.
It happens everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And then you need to adapt to those things. And then you are forced to learn the culture in order to adapt to it.
Yeah.
Or we don't really fully adapt because nobody will hire a Western person to do a project in Bali if they want a fully local design.
Exactly.
So our job as architects is to try to blend the best of both worlds, or even 3 worlds. It depends, because it's Western and Eastern, but also I've been working in all these countries, so you grab a little bit from everywhere, right? And the most important thing is always to be respectful to the environment, to the nature, to the people next to you, to the workers, because they behave differently, they use different techniques. You cannot come here and impose let's say in Spain, for instance, we build basically with concrete. And then in China it's the same. In the US, they build with wood most of the time for small projects. You cannot just come and impose whatever you think is the best, or what you think should be done, right? Because many times the locals, they would not even know how to deal with that.
Wow, that sounds like you need to find new ways to deal with by blending so many different aspects together.
But that's actually the beauty of it.
Yeah, it is.
That's the beauty of it.
It's very fulfilling once the project is done, like the
But the
client
whole
clears it
process
off.
is fulfilling itself because you learn.
It's an exploration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You explore, and then
Okay.
it's this is what I love about traveling.
Yeah.
Learning,
Yeah.
not just go there for fun, which is what I did the first time,
Yeah.
but go and actually learn what the people
Yeah.
do in that place and why they do it, right?
Yes. Yeah, the why is more important
That's
than the
the key.
process. Yes. Yeah, and this brings me to our main topic, what you're doing, design and architecture, live and breathe creativity. What inspired you to follow this career path?
So my dad is a doctor.
Yep.
And I always, I love my dad, of course, and I worship my dad. He's a great mentor for me. And for a long time, I wanted to be a doctor because I also like very much medicine, right? But so the way we work, or we used to work in Spain at least, whenever you're growing, you're passing grades, and they ask you, okay, do you want to study, more physics and mathematics, STEM, or you want to go more to the arts and literature and stuff like that. So of course I'm always in math and STEM subjects. So that was a clear goal for me. But then the last year they ask you biology or design, graphic design or drawing. And at that time I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for drawing because I was good. I like it, right? And then of course at that time I was already thinking, should I do medicine or should I do architecture? And then I kind of try to look what will the outcome be, and the architect world or the profession more to the world, because there's not such a thing as a world for architects, but the profession allows you to be very, it doesn't allow you, it asks of you to be very open-minded and to try to keep learning many different things. In medicine is the same thing. You have to keep learning because the techniques keep advancing, there are new diseases, etc. But the way you kind of grow into the profession is very different.
Yes.
In medicine, basically you kind of keep focusing, and in architecture you should be expanding to the more outrageous things you can imagine. You go there, right? So I love technology, and I love art, I love traveling, I love culture, I love history. So I think all those things, I thought they were more appropriate for architecture, and that's why I chose to become an architect.
Wow, that's sounds like a very long journey.
It was an easy choice. Like you have a puzzle and then the pieces just connected together. It was like, okay, let's just do it, right? I mean, it seemed the right choice, and I'm happy with the decision.
I'm glad that you're happy now, with the decisions you made in the past.
I mean, I still like medicine. But this is a completely different story.
One, right?
But I have friends and family who are doctors, and I think they deserve heaven in the skies. These people, they're true heroes.
Yeah. And what is the most influential work you've been involved with, and what are some works that you find like a lot of satisfaction, and why do you feel that way?
So if you asked me this question a couple years ago, I would answer differently. But now I would say, because I work in big firms, as I mentioned before. I work for Forster and Partners, and at that time we were involved in really big projects all around the world. And then if you asked me a couple years ago, I would have said one of those projects, because everybody knows them, they're famous and stuff like that. And then you work with really an amazing team, and it's a great thing. But after my 2 projects in Bali, and we started developing our own projects, which means I'm not just the architect, I'm also the developer. So my job is also to go and find the land, the right land to build, to find investors, to deal with contractors, to deal with lawyers, landlords, everything. So this is a new kind of, not job, but it's a new, how would you say that? You could say it's a new job. It's many little jobs put together, but now I understand the overall situation of a project. Because if you're a constructor, you know how to build. You're an architect, you know how to design. You're an investor, you know where your money is and how much money you want in return. You are the end user, like we are right now, we're in this great hotel. We are using this hotel, we're experiencing, right? And you have certain expectations. When you are everything, the developer, the designer, the investor, everything, it gives you a 360.
The dynamic changes. Huh?
Exactly. And then managing, being able and to pull that thing off, I would say, even though the size of and the scale of the project is smaller than all the big ones I did when I was in Forster or in the Chinese firms or back in Holland, we were doing really big projects. But even though the scale it's much smaller, being able to control 360 every single aspect. So that
I would imagine it comes with a lot of challenges as well, but that's why it makes it so satisfying that.
Yes, but also as an architect, and I'm pretty sure many architects will agree with me, we always try to push sustainability.
Yeah.
And very few clients or investors, they are willing to take that path because it's more expensive.
Yeah.
So in the long run, almost everybody understands that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But so many people, they are short-sighted and they always want immediate returns. And it's like, okay, yeah, but if you install solar panels, you do water tanks, you do all the double installation, you can do many things, not crazy stuff, but it costs money.
Yeah.
In the long term, it will pay you back for sure.
Yeah.
Multiple times. But people want, no, but then I have to spend more money now, but I'm not going to be able to capitalize on that.
Short term, long term.
Exactly. And then, well, since I can control almost everything, I mean, not everything, because you never control everything. I still need to respond to investors and to many people, right? But I'm more able to push these kind of sustainable ideas.
Okay, got it. And this brings us to our next question. Like architecture and design are art, but also functionality. It's something to answer someone else's needs. How do you balance these two aspects?
Well, it's not so difficult. It's not so difficult because when you try to do something very, very creative, oftentimes it comes at a cost. It's expensive. So many times your clients, they just don't have the budget or they just don't want to do it because, the ROI, the return on investment, etc., right? So sometimes you just can't do it. It's true that, for instance, I was working at Forster and Partners, as I mentioned before, and our clients had really deep pockets. So you really have to balance these things out because you do have the capital to actually build something amazing, right? And then they don't go looking at the penny, okay, but this is too expensive. So in that case, when you'd really have really good clients, it's about, you have to look, if you are the investor, if you are the end user, if you are the architect, you have to look at the project from all angles.
Yep.
The one who's putting the money, the one who is actually making the design, and the one who is actually going to use the project. So you need to be, let's say, devil's advocate for each part. So all the stakeholders that are involved in a project, since the financing rounds to the inception and the design phase, all the way to the end user, you have to try to please everybody. Meaning, okay, if it was me, the one who put in the money, what would I want? More money in return. Definitely. Okay, but if I'm the last user, not the owner of the building, but the last user, because oftentimes it's not the same person. Like you have a hotel, you own the hotel, but the user, the person who is going to use that hotel is the guest, right? So you need to try to think, put yourself in the shoes of every single person and say, okay, if I'm this guy, what do I want? As a designer, we want to create beautiful things, right? Okay, so I want that. How is this decision going to impact both the investor and my end user? Because many times you build something beautiful, but it doesn't, you cannot use it really well, right? Yes. So some people will take that trade-off as, okay, I'm happy to have a less comfortable or ergonomics, let's say, chair or living room, but because it gives me peace of mind, because just by looking at it, I feel good, right?
Yes.
But so you need to understand your clients and or stakeholders. And this means every person who is putting the money, every person who's going to use it, your builders, your contractors, you need to understand them. Because if you ask too much out of them, they don't know how to build that stuff, you're going to go into deep trouble.
Yeah,
so
to really balance.
So balance is just little by little.
Yes,
You talk to everybody, and then you put yourself in everybody's
I
shoes.
suppose
And you go back and forth.
back and
So
forth, back
architecture is never you start and then you finish. You start and then you do these and back and forth.
Back and forth. That's good, that's good. And yeah, this brings me to my second last question. What do you think is the design and architectural landscape? How will it look like in 10 years?
In 10 years? Okay, so 10 years is not that long of a distance in time.
Yeah.
So I think most of the, let's say, buildings that you see around will be the same. There will not be many changes. Of course, technology changes. Now we have AI, we have virtual reality, augmented reality. This helps in many ways people that are not in the same place to connect each other. So it allows for more collaborations. So there will be more, the design will evolve into a more, I would not say crazy, but more, I would say more creative. I think we will become more creative, but then you need to build these things, right? So I think most of the buildings will kind of look the same. I mean, they will obviously more modern, but it will not be a really big impact. I do see a big impact in some like faraway areas that don't have this much these days. They don't have access to many resources. Through AI, in 10 years, I'm pretty sure you can kind of build a little house without the need of a real architect. Okay. I'm talking about small buildings, small houses, like your own house, you live in a farmland, or you need in a rural area far away. There will be someone that has this AI that can deliver a really easy project for you to do.
Yes.
Probably there will also be 3D printers. We already have them, right?
Yeah.
This technology is evolving at a slower rate than AI, because AI is software and the other one is hardware. But it will keep evolving for sure. I think many of these 3D printers will be able to go and build a house with the plans that you did remotely with AI. So in a very simple manner, you will be able to build better and more suitable buildings. I'm talking about the small ones. The big ones, they will remain the same for more than 10 years. And also, we have more sustainable energies and self-sufficient energies. So solar panels already are normal and standards. So you will be able to build where you were not able to build before at a much lower price.
Yeah. So with AI as a tool, I may be able to be my own architect to my little home, right?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
So the only problem that anybody will have to build their own house is regulation. And this is not about the ability of AI to be able to deliver the house for you, the design, right? It will be whether your local government allows you to build a house without the supervision of a registered architect. Yes. If you take out the equation of politicians, then they regulate everything. In theory, I don't see a problem why AI in 10 years is not able to deliver a really good design for your needs. And again, we're talking about what I was saying before. You asked me about the balance, right? Well, AI will help a lot to balance those things. Because immediately when you start designing, what we do right now is in our mind, we are kind of estimating how much it's going to be. So you say, okay, I want to build this and I want to put marble floors. You immediately kind of guess, okay, it's going to be this price. But if you change that material to, I don't know, terrazzo or terracotta, it goes down. You use wood. In certain areas, it's more expensive. In certain areas, could be really, really cheap to use wood, right? So AI because AI is data, basically. Yeah. It will be able to, you tell the AI, okay, I have this much amount of money, it's going to be in this location, make it sustainable, like make the orientation that doesn't require me to have AC, because you can have a house with AC, right? And then the AI knows all these things. Right now, we architects, we know these things, and if we don't, it's our job to do the research. But AI will know most of this stuff. So it will deliver, maybe not the final design, you will still need an architect to tweak it and to finalize the drawings and to double check everything. Yes. But it could deliver something. Wow. Yes, but I don't see it yet for big scale projects. It will be a help, but it will not be an end product.
It's an exciting world out there waiting for us.
Yeah, well, for some more than others.
Yeah. And with this, it's wonderful having you, share very valuable insights with architecture and design. And one last question before we end the session is, if you were to rate the Finders Club experience in 3 words, how would you rate it?
The Finders Clubs
Yep.
in 3 words?
Yep.
Well, I mean, I think we already talked about it. Finders, for me, it's a key. I asked you why Finders, and then you said it was because of the brand, of the Find series, right?
Series.
But I did not know that. And I thought it was because, you're finding people and finding experiences to link the technology, like the OPPO, and so we can, as a user, I can understand better the product, and I can use it in certain, let's say, experiences. I'm reusing my own words, but in certain aspects of life,
Yes.
right? So you're choosing to get those aspects and to put them together in a very compact and very nice, tailored trip.
Experience.
And then these ones are, so the first one will be Finders, as in research, finding the thing that you seek. Okay, you might not know. I did not know what I was gonna experience here and what I was gonna find out.
The unknown.
Exactly, but I found. So one will be Finders for sure. The other one will be customized, tailor-made, uniqueness. One of these words. I mean, for me, it's difficult to put just one word. I like to think about in more bigger terms, but this will be the second one.
Okay.
And then the third one will be gathering, like connecting.
Connecting.
Because I'm really, really glad to meet new people from different areas of the world, different industries, which is many times not so easy because architects, we work together with always the same kind of people, right? And now getting to know all these new people that are completely different to what I do.
It's very similar to what we experience in SEEPS, right?
True.
Yeah. True. Okay.
In a way, it's a similar way to connect with people and broaden, because when you connect to people and you understand them, you have to have deep conversations with them, and then you understand, like Gordon, for instance. I'm still amazed how he comes with all these things, right?
Yeah.
And then this is something that doesn't happen in a normal conversation with normal people.
Exactly.
Let's say.
I'm glad this experience has been intimate, and I hope these are connections that you find value along the way in your career and in your future. And that's it for this episode of On the Spot with OPPO. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.